The next thing I just wanted to mention here, and maybe Vanessa will have a comment on this in a minute, was this protest in the United States, or demonstration rather. 300 arrested, said the Washington Post, as Jewish protesters in DC demanded Israel-Gaza ceasefire. We have a little bit of video on this, so let's just have a look. So they are calling for a ceasefire, and just looking at some of the commentary in the article from the Washington Post here, they're saying, we are here to say not in our name. We're here to say, as we are here as Jews, many descendants of survivors of genocide, to stop a genocide from unfolding in real time. And you can see what it says on their banners there. Our blood is the same color. So wanted to highlight that because there's been a lot of comment about the dangers of demonstrations in support of what's going on in support of people in Gaza, turning into something more violent. And that's not what we're seeing so far. And it would be, I think I would be asking questions if there's any sense of violence coming out of protests on this in the coming days and weeks. But in the meantime, the main news is, of course, the West does not want a ceasefire. And I've labeled this Stop the Warmongering, because there has been an effort in the United Nations to get a resolution in order to, what they described as, create humanitarian pauses to deliver what they called life-saving aid to millions in Gaza. Now, there was a vote on this, and I just have a little bit of video just to show what the result of that vote was.
Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 12 votes in favor, 1 vote against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
So this vote was not passed because of the veto power of permanent members of the Security Council. And of course, this is something that the United States and the UK have been complaining bitterly about for a long period of time now, as China and Russia have attempted to prevent Western interventions abroad. And they have vetoed Security Council resolutions demanding some kind of military action in other countries, regime change and so on. But in this case, they've decided, the Americans have decided to use their veto in order to prevent any kind of ceasefire in Gaza. Now, if you were watching closely there, you may have noticed that the United Kingdom and Russia both abstained. Now, they abstained for different reasons. So let's have a look at the UK reason. First of all, what Barbara Woodward here is talking about is we voted no. They didn't vote no on this resolution. They voted no on the amendments that the Russians were attempting to put forward, which is calling for a complete cessation of all the violence. So the UK voted against the Russian amendments for a complete ceasefire, and they abstained. And the reason on the final draft, and the reason that they abstained in that was because they had decided that because there was nothing in the language condemning Hamas and making clear that Israel had the right to defend itself, that they would abstain in the main vote. But they also voted no to the Russian amendments. And she also said, we remain clear too that all possible measures on the ground must be taken to ensure civilian casualties are minimized and to facilitate humanitarian aid. You'll note she doesn't say to ensure that civilian casualties are stopped, is to make sure that they're minimized. Vasily Nebenzia, who's the Russian permanent representative to the UN, said, the time for diplomatic metaphors is gone. Anyone who does not support Russia's draft resolution, this was for a complete ceasefire on this issue, bears responsibility for what happens. And he then criticized the draft that was finally voted on It has no clear call for a ceasefire. It will not help stop the bloodshed. So the United States voted against it, and they said, this is Linda Thomas Greenfield, their ambassador, this resolution did not mention Israel's right to self-defense. Israel has the inherent right of self-defense, that is their typo, by the way, as reflected in Article 51 of the UN Charter. And then finally, just before we move to Vanessa, I just wanted to mention a comment from Juliet Touma, who's from the United Nations, saying basically Gaza has become a hellhole. Time is running out. It has been almost 2 weeks, 2 very long weeks, and UNRWA has not been able to bring in any supplies to Gaza. So before you go into your main segment, Vanessa, you got any comments on the UN vote?
Well, it's quite extraordinary that they talk about Israel's right to self-defense when Palestine apparently has no right to self-defense or to resist one of the most protracted terrorist attacks against the very existence of Palestinians for the last 75 years.